Hey everybody, Gary McGowan here, and today we're going to do something a little bit different, but kind of the same. There's an article that came out in the Toronto Star that everyone's talking about, talks about, where we were in February to where we are today with markets all around the GTA. And listen, there's lots of comments about it. The sky's falling, this is falling. Well, prices are falling, but are they stabilizing? We're going to talk about maybe some opportunities. So let's roll the intro and we'll get into the video. So that's right, Toronto Star, yeah, one of the favorite newspapers around the area, in Toronto, I should say. They came out with a really interesting article, and really, it's just they've taken the information that they've gotten from the Toronto Real Estate Board and provided it to the public in a different way. And of course, media outlets and different realtors, everyone starts to pick up on it and talking about, they want to talk about the market crashing and this and that. And yes, the market has come down, some odd 30% or more or less, depending on where you are since February. But we've also had some huge run-ups. And what does that mean? Well, we're going to talk about that today in the article. But first, I want to say thank you to everyone that's reached out to me, and watch out for the dancing Gare over here. I really appreciate everyone calling and reaching out to me. I'm happy to always talk about real estate and perhaps some opportunities or questions that you might have, whether it's from investments side of things or just your own personal real estate questions or thoughts or opinions or comments that you might have. Happy to help out. Do reach out to me. And thanks again for reaching out to me in the past. So let's talk about what's going on in the market. It's Friday, August 12th, and there's lots of things happening. In my video that I did a few days ago, we talked about the weekly TRREB report that I put out. And August, hey, people are taking time away from the real estate market. So we're seeing our numbers decline a little bit from number of showings and things like that. But I'm going to share two interesting listings that are local to me here in Stouffville, and really, really interesting strategy. They were on the market for 3 or 4 weeks. They didn't get the offers perhaps that they were looking for, or the exposure that the agents and the sellers were looking for. And in both cases, they decided to relist the home at a much lower price. And guess what happened? They created a multiple offer situation. Both homes had 9 or 10 different offers on it, completely different price ranges, mind you, from each other, and yet they both sold in multiple offers. So that tells me there's still a craving out there for buyers. We had 18, 19, 20 buyers that didn't perhaps get the home that they were looking for over this past couple of nights, right? So there's still buyers out there. It's just a matter of getting that home, getting your home, if you have it listed, in front of that right buyer and the exposure that it's needed. So let's talk about the article. Let's jump over to the article, because we talked about that, right? At Toronto Star, and I'm going to bring that up over here. Here we go. So I'll put the link to this article in the description of the video. And this is the highlight of the Toronto Star article. Which GTA region has seen the biggest decline in real estate prices since February market peak? So of course that's going to a little clickbait action here. And what happens? Well, we're going to go through this a little bit and talk about perhaps some of the opportunities. And in some areas haven't reduced drastically like everyone's saying that they have. And I was actually surprised when I looked at this. So this is really interesting. So what it's going to say right off the bat, we're going to look at overall detached semis and condos, I believe is how they have this divided up. So the first graph that I have here, average sale price, GTA region, all dwelling types. So this takes into your little townhouse or condos to the big detached homes as well. And you can see, all of our numbers on the left-hand side of the screen here, 1.5, 1.5 million, 1.3 down to 1.2 basically across the GTA. And they're gonna highlight this whole story with Durham having the highest decline since February. Makes sense, right? Because if we look back in early, I should say late last year into early this year, Durham is always of the big 5 regions or 6 regions, Durham region is the lower cost price region. So if you're being priced out of Toronto area or York region or wherever, you're going to move to that lower priced area like a Durham region because your dollar goes a little bit farther there. So that meant Durham had the biggest opportunity to increase, which also means it has the biggest opportunity to decrease, right? You staying with me on that? So no, this should be no big surprise here. We are seeing prices, I believe, yeah, in Durham and in Simcoe now, average price below $1 million. In Durham region, that's 901,000. And in Simcoe, you can see right here at, let's put the little highlighter on here, at 927. So no surprise there, right? No surprise. And what we're going to look at next is the detached homes. And again, this should be of no surprise. You can see it right from Toronto all the way to Peel, York, Halton, Simcoe, and Durham. Those are some big numbers that have declined in prices, right? And what I'm seeing here is some unique opportunities. In one of the last graphs I'm going to share with you, it goes by the city or the town. And that's where, that's where it becomes important. We're not looking at it from the big picture because we don't sell Toronto GTA real estate. We sell, for instance, Markham East real estate or Stouffville real estate or a little community in Durham region or Ajax, what have you, right? So that's the way to look at this. And we're going to look at some interesting numbers here. So let's look at the semis. Semis range from, down 25% down to about 15% in Simcoe or in Toronto, and still lots of opportunity. And as buying opportunity keeps coming back up, look for these types of opportunities. And, you might say, well, I've owned my home for 5, 10 plus years and I've lost 25% since February. Well, you haven't lost it because you haven't sold it, right? And so you always got to think of things like that. Scrolling down, we're going to now look at the condos, and condo market in some areas has come down quite a bit. But Toronto, let's look at Toronto because that's where the majority, and I'm talking mass majority of condos are sold, right? And if you look in the Toronto area, it's down 9.5%, so less than 10% since February. And we know that those sales are coming back a little bit stronger than perhaps some of the other areas because, again, condos are typically more affordable for people, and that market is always trending to be a decent market to not only invest in, but to own in as well, because you can easily enter and as well as easily exit typically. Right. Good stuff. Let's move forward. We're going to now look at, I like this graph here. GTA average price change, all dwelling types combined. Now, this is the graph that every realtor is sharing right now, and I'm going to highlight a few things. So it breaks it down by the city from each region. So remember, this is all dwelling types. Let's not forget that. And we see declines of, in Peel region, 23%, Mississauga, this is the song I want to highlight right here, down just 12.8%. So you might be seeing or hearing news that you're down 25, 30%. Well, really, all property types is down 12.8% in Mississauga. So not as big as perhaps what some people are saying. Toronto, in the Toronto core, Toronto East saw a bigger impact versus Toronto West, right? We see minus 17% versus minus 11%. So for some, that might be a big difference, right? If you are an owner in those areas. Moving down to York region. Numbers are all over the place from 29%, 25%. King, which is always kind of an outlier at minus 48%. I say an outlier because we've got homes in there, 1.5 million up to 10 million, 25 million even. So that's always going to be a bit of an outlier in York region. There's some beautiful, beautiful estate homes and horse farms and everything else like that in that area. But look at this. This is the one that surprised me the most, Richmond Hill. Down 6.6%. And you might be thinking to yourself, if you live in Richmond Hill, all you're hearing is down 25, 30% since February. And when we actually break it down and look at the numbers, it's down 6.6%, which last year, and what I'm going to do perhaps in a future video is look at that year over year change. And that year over year change is probably going to be up about 5 to 10% if I'm to guess. full on guess at this moment, but that's kind of what we're seeing, because we know the year over year numbers are about a plus 3% typically on average on the entire Toronto real estate board. But for Richmond Hill, this is really interesting. I didn't realize that when I first looked at this graph. Halton Region, moving over to Halton Region, we're seeing kind of the same numbers, the same story. And then if we move into the Durham region, which as I said, had the biggest opportunity to increase, which also on the flip side has the biggest opportunity to decrease. And we're seeing those numbers all around here. And let me change that. There we go. All of those numbers anywhere from say 38% in Brock. It probably had a bigger opportunity to increase, so it has that same amount of time to decrease. Down to areas, as I'm seeing in here, like Pickering, 18%, Ajax, 24.6% down since February. But again, those types of areas started at a lower number than, say, in Scarborough or in York Region and so forth. So it had a bigger opportunity to increase, because we've had buyers wanting to move to those areas because that was more affordable from where they were. So you can see the rest of the numbers there. I'll make this article clickable so you can read it for yourself and digest it and understand it, and you can put your own comments into it and so forth. As I said, I'm always happy to respond to people's questions and comments, and people do email me and text me all the time with different questions and things like that, what's going on in their world. Always happy to help out fellow realtors too. So if you have questions, do reach out to me. Watch out for that dancing Gare again. Text me. I'm happy to help out. If you're looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate, really anywhere right across Canada, I've formed great relationships with great investor style agents right across Canada, and happy to connected with you to them. But that's it. That's it for the Friday video. Wanted to go through this article, as many agents are doing so, and provide my perspective on it. And that's the biggest perspective, is understanding the numbers and understanding your local area. That's the most important thing. We can talk big Toronto real estate numbers, but here's what we need to understand. Use and fine tune that information into your personal situation, because everyone has a different situation. All right, that's it for me. That's the Friday video. Hope you have a wonderful weekend, and I will look for you on the next video. Bye for now.